difficult acts to follow. Thank you, Tracy, for your viewpoint. It was very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, the commissioner is there. So I'm going to talk about the doctor's perspective. I don't think I have, any slides, so I'm pretty okay. I'll keep it to myself, possibly. Anyway, I suppose this is my journey. So when I became a consultant, how did I get interested in John's campaign, or how did I get to know about it? I work as a liaison consultant at Homerton Hospital. So for those of you who don't know what liaison consultants do, we're mental health professionals who provide services to general hospitals. So we're kind of treading the middle path, the middle ground. We're employed by the mental health trust, but our services are provided to general hospitals. So it can be quite interesting balancing both the trust together, both the colleagues together. And it was an interesting journey because I've always worked in communities where you work with patients, the carers as they're called. No offense there, I'll just stick to those words. And I always found it easy to negotiate or talk with the carers, understand the person, get something done, and things were completed as a circle when I was there in the community in some sort of way. And then it was further journeys. But when you work in general hospitals, somehow they're on carers at any point of time. I'm only left at the mercy of electronic patient records with maybe numbers which are outdated, which have never been amended. It's hearsay. I check the notes, see what is there, and it just becomes difficult to form a total picture of who the person is. What's going on with them? Why are they here today? I've been asked to see a patient, please see. And that's all I know, please see for depression. Is this where the patient is? What is going on for the patient? So this was me sitting there wondering, why is it so different? Why am I struggling out here? And to kind of start reading, to kind of read Observer and see your campaign, Nikki and Julia. It was amazing to actually get to know that there are other people who are thinking of providing care in involving every aspect of the patient there. I've had instances where you've had patients with, they have dementia. I'm called to see because this person has visual hallucinations. 3 days post-op, nobody has talked to the carer. They haven't ever contacted them or talked with the person's daughter, who knows that the person drinks regularly. The operation, nobody bothered to ask them. They are now withdrawing 3 days post-op, and they're supposed to have, because they have dementia, don't they? So they are supposed to have visual hallucinations, and it's worrying when you see that. And just having somebody around there would have changed all the aspects of care that could have been given to this person earlier, before they had hit the nurses, and then they were not so welcome, or they were not the nicer people. He was an amazing man anyways. I say was because I don't know what happened later, so I just stick to that. So my experience has been more of working in general hospitals who have kind of welcomed to some extent John's campaign. Not everywhere, we still are struggling. But what's really interesting is when you have a person with learning disability, they allow carers to be there 24 hours. They're always allowed because they can't understand them. And I kind of wonder, are you able to understand this person? I've walked up to a patient who was referred for depression, who had dementia, yes, and he engaged, and it was wonderful. He asked to see, he was in a lot of pain. He had cancer, and he was in a lot of pain. And he said, when I am screaming and shouting, they walk up to me and say, are you in pain? And I don't want to be asked that question. I am in pain. Can you ask me where is the pain? And it's a patient's perspective, and the family knows that. The nurses are just like, are you in pain? And I say no, and I don't take painkillers, and obviously he needs painkillers. So it's just about where the family's roles were, and the family were indeed very grateful when this patient's journey was made easier. They had palliative cares involved, had palliative care nurses involved, and everything turned to being smooth afterwards. so smooth as what I didn't hear any more about it, so maybe they just decided I wasn't to be involved. Looking at the benefits that I see in day-to-day practice, now we talk about delirium, and what do we say? And this is from treatment that we have explained as junior doctors or as medical students, one-to-one nursing, separate room, having things that the patient knows or has in their own place, so reorienting the person. And I think people's belongings are important, yes, but aren't patients' carers, aren't those people's carers important? We are all human beings. We need the human touch. We need those people to be there for them. Who is better in orienting a person than their own carer, whom they can recognize? Why are the belongings more important? Does one-to-one RMN give that much of important care as a carer would? Will it save some money to the trust? Maybe, maybe not. But those are the questions that we as human beings should be considering. And this is where I see there's so much, when you have a patient's care around, there's a big reduction in rates of delirium. It's just because people are they said people are wandering on the wards. Can you see this patient? This patient's been walking all around. They're looking for the toilets. They don't know where the toilets are. I know that the toilets are signposted. But if I was in a new environment, I'm always looking for the toilets. The first thing that I enter into a building is looking for the toilets. And that's everybody, and that's the patient's aspect as well. And if you just had the carer, they could explain where they are. I'm not saying they need to take the patient there, no ways. I think the nurses need to be involved in a lot of aspects of healthcare assistance, but they can be an aid in helping guide the person. It's wonderful to see that people are involved, and then they kind of are talking about other patients as well. Can you watch out for that one? And there's a lot of human contact. Even though they may not have their own carers around, it's just that, or you can see when you're talking with them, somebody else is waving at them and they're kind of engaging in that human touch, that human contact, which is so vital for all of us. A lot of people refuse to do any physiotherapy or occupational therapy every day. Every single day, patients are saying no for this, don't want to do it. Who helps them? The carers just being there just makes a big difference in everything. The physiotherapists can get them to walk, the occupational therapists get them to walk and do things in the kitchen, and it's amazing. And you can actually talk to the person in real time. So instead of picking up the phone, you're actually talking to a person and finding out information about this patient, about who this person is, what do they like, what do they not like, what kind of food would they enjoy. And it does take a long time. But is it longer than my taking history on the phone? I don't think so. I think it's just a perception of it. Sometimes it's so much more useful. You've kind of addressed a part of the pathway. I've talked to them today and said, look, these are the things we'll look at, and these are the things we're going to do. Tomorrow we look at the second aspect of it, or in 3 days we'll look at the second aspect of it. So they have progressed from lying in the bed to sitting outside. Shall we kind of consider whether they're going to walk? What are they going to do? What makes them feel happier? What makes them less depressed? What makes their pain go away? And obviously there's been some reduction in the complaint procedure because it's against us, it's not us against them, and I think that's what is very, very, we have to be very mindful of. I know when the patients come into hospitals, there's a lot of safeguarding issues that are being raised. So there's the carer who is neglectful of this person that we are supposed to care for. Safeguarding, there's a wedge built up, and sometimes, and it does, I'm not saying everyone does have an understanding of what it means to care for a person, any person really. Some people have their own understanding of caring, which may not fit into the role, but that itself is us against them in some sort of way. And I don't think we ever have to think of it as us against them. It's about learning from each other. I learn every day from a patient's carer. My interest in dementia, what helps a person, was all through patient's carers telling me, when mum does this, what we do this. And it's just learning that, and I take it to the next person, because everybody has similar problems when they're seated there. We run groups on our ward, which is after 5, because it's easier for carers to attend. And it's really interesting, because people find solutions among themselves. I don't have solutions very often. I just sit there and kind of listen to the solutions and learn myself, I think. I don't say that I'm the one with solutions, but it is the family members who are providing the solution to each other. And that enhances each other, the care that has been provided. So, I mean, the barriers that I feel have been going on it's basically changing the whole culture. And it's going to be it takes a long time to change a culture we are used to. It took years to change pediatric wards having access to, I don't know, to having family members around, to having parents around. They have a name, you know, parents. So I think that's one useful starting point. But that's what changed it all, really. So it takes a long while, it's a long journey. Mental health perspective of it, yes, I think it's just about changing the culture. It's about the us against them culture. It's about some aspects of it. What we don't know, we feel scared of doing. We always are scared of entering into, I don't know, I'm scared of swimming, so that's another thing which I can't do anything about. So those are the kind of things I see as barriers. I've got a guide already there, so thank you very much, guys. Thanks.